Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to do a cross painting using dot painting. And this is a craft that only those catechists brave enough to bring paint into their classroom should attempt. The supplies that you will be receiving will be a little paint tray, a lollipop stick, that's what you're going to use for the painting. Each student only needs one of these. There'll be enough of these for each student to get one of these as well. You will get a sheet for each student. I don't know if you can see on there, but it has the outline of a cross on it. And a variety of paints, probably purples, browns, blues, greens, and a red. What you should supply, at least one napkin or paper towel per student. If you could bring that in, that'd be great. And then something like newspaper to protect the desks. So I'm going to show you a couple of different designs, although this is really a free-form craft, so people can do, whatever they come up with this one. I'm going to show you how to do a cross that's rounded at the tops and the sides. I'll show you how to do one that flares out, and also one that has something in the middle. And then I'll show you one that is just flat on all the sides. So those are the three designs we'll look at. You'll notice that the bottles of paints are pretty small, but you really need a very tiny amount for this project. And so maybe you as the catechist wants to put the paint in the trays so that you don't get too much out. I mean, you can always add more, but you can't get the paint back in once it's out. So really, a quantity about like that is perfect, and depending on what you're doing, possibly even more than what you need. So you shouldn't have students filling up the whole compartment with paint. So just about that much paint of each color. Whatever design you're going to do, I suggest starting with a dot of paint in the middle. So this is serving as your paintbrush, so to speak. A dot in the middle, and then a line up and down the cross. So there's one. And at first, when your stick is pretty dry, you might have to dip it for every dot. The other thing to note is that you don't want your dots to touch. You always want to see some black in between the dots. I think that's what gives it its really neat effect. So I'm going to put a dot all the way up. I'll finish that later. And then I'll start by going across, trying to stay on the line. If you don't want the pencil marks to show, you could flip it over and you'll see that the cross, is indented on the other side, and you could just follow those lines, and that way you won't see any of the pencil marks. So whichever you prefer is fine. I'm done putting down the first line, and you can see how much paint is left. It doesn't even look like I used any. This is where the napkin or paper towel comes into play. You don't have to wash this off with water. If you just rub it off, that's fine to go on to your next color. Okay, so I'm gonna do my next color, and I'll do, I think, a square edge up on the top. So we're gonna start out the same way. You're gonna put your dots next to the first line. They don't have to match up exactly dot per dot, but again, you do want to see some black in between each dot. Now I'm getting, I think it depends on the paint too, how many dots you're able to put down per dip in the paint. All right, now that I'm at the top where I'm equal, I'm going to go one further. Put one on top of the middle color, and then go out one. And that's all you do to make the square top. And then you can come down. I like to turn it this way to start coming back down. And that's how you get the square top effect. On this arm, I will show you how to make it curved. So again, we're going to start our line. It's coming out. And this time again, you want to put one dot in front of the middle color, but you don't need to make them so perfectly aligned as on the square top. So just like that, gives you a nice curve. Over here, I'll show you how to make it look like it flares out a little bit. So now I'm getting almost 4 dots per dip in the paint. I'm going to stop when I'm even. Then I do 2 dots a little bit, each a little bit off center of that middle green dot. And then one kind of up in the corner. And then this is going to come down like this. So I know my dot in the corner is going to go right about there. Okay, and now it looks like you have a cross that's flaring out at the end. So I've completed the cross. This one's a little bit strange because it has 3 different types of ends on it, a rounded, a squared, and a flared out one. This is a nice thickness. You could add yet another layer around it, and if you do that, it'll come out to be that wide. Okay, so depending on how big you want your cross, you may want to stop here, or you could use another darker color. I'm going to leave that one there. You can add as much as you want to this picture, which is nice because if you have some kids who are slow, it might take them the whole time just to do the cross. Whereas if you have kids who are quick, you could have them fill in the whole sheet, you know, if they're that quick. One thing I want to stress when you're doing dot painting is that you want to think about making rows and not making outlines and then filling in. You can see it looks like I tried to make an outline here and fill in, and I got dots squished next to each other and they're touching. You want to think about making rows, 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 rows. And you can see in my background here, rows, squiggly rows, but rows nonetheless. So you don't want to make an outline and then try to fill the dots in, otherwise because you'll end up overlapping your dots. You want to make your pictures by creating rows. So I'll do a little bit of an example of doing the hill. If your kids wanted to add in the other 2 crosses, they might want to draw that in with pencil first. I did that freehand, but that's risky. Luckily that one turned out okay. Or any kind of background, that could probably be freehand, that's pretty easy. But they could do just regular stripes, they could do, you know, sunbeam stripes. There's all kinds of possibilities once the imagination starts going. All right, so again, you can see how much, or how little I should say, blue paint I used to do all of that. There's a lot left still. Now I'm going on to green. I'm a little bit worried about this green because it's very thick. So I'm going to try it, and if that is too thick to work, I'm going to have to add more water. Okay, so it's not great, but again, I'm thinking in terms of making a row, starting with the bottom of the cross. And I'm just going to make rows underneath until it's filled in. So you might want to start it out like that. You could use brown. You'll have gray. So I have different colors to choose from. Now I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm filling in the grass, and you can see how I'm working in rows. One row, then another, then another, till it's all filled in. So I have the grass all filled in. Like I said, if you wanted to add some more stuff into the background, like on this, you could put the other crosses in, you could do some sky or some color or something like that. Another variation would be to put something in the middle of the cross, like this. I put a heart. Well, maybe it's hard to tell it's a heart, but it's a heart. And if you're going to do that, that should be done first before you do the cross. So if you're going to do a center design like a heart, and this one again, I did outline and fill this one in so you can see there's some overlap. I wasn't sure how else to do that. And another idea, I have this little circle. So if you want to do something in the center first, do that and then do the cross afterwards. I will be giving you my examples so you can hold them up for your class. All the ones that you saw in this video, you'll have those. I want them back when you're done so that other classes can use the examples. The trays should be cleaned out. It just takes some water. You'll have to go into a sink in the bathroom, wash them out. They should look like this. They should look like how they were when you got them. Okay, so please clean out the trays. I don't need the sticks back. I need the trays back, the examples, and the paint containers. And if you could drop those off at the office on your way out, that would be great. All right, good luck.